Hey, business planning continued, and we're just going to jump into the building your personal brand section and a little bit about business planning, but more on building your own brand, getting it on paper, and then really starting to think about it. Now, full disclosure from me, today I'm going to be walking and talking as I do the presentation, and yeah, there's interaction with the group. If you want to join the community, just go ahead. If you've already joined the community, then go to the online live sessions, and this is a conversion from one of the live sessions. So hopefully it can help you out. If you have questions, just reach out, obviously, as always, and let me know. Okay, so let's dive right in. Your personal brand, and what does that look like? So, a personal brand has to be one that ties together your ideal client and the value proposition that you offer. It has to be cohesive. So, you have to have your ideal client, the value you provide them, and then develop a personal brand around that. So, branding is all about being in the person's front of mind, frontal cortex. You have to be available for people in their minds when they have the emotion or the need to reach out or to find somebody. So imagine this. Let's just say you do social media and you're very involved in your community. You're always posting on social. You're posting things towards that community. Typically, then, when somebody has that need to buy a house or sell their house, they'll have the top of mind for somebody who's very close to them. So, an ideal client of yours. In your case, you'll be posting in your community and obviously seen online as well, but it's most likely that the people in the community will be attracted to you versus the rest of the world, which is good. That's what we're after. So you have your ideal client, the content and context of what you're posting is your value proposition, and now you're starting to build a personal brand around that. So you want to make sure that by the end of this session, you're walking away with a plan, an actual plan, actionable, sorry, plan for 3, 6, and 12 months going forward that's targeted on your financial goals and your tactical goals. What I mean by tactical is you're going to decide what you're going to do, step 1, step 2, step 3, to meet your financial expectations. So this is my form of business planning. You don't have the history of spending money and making money in real estate to really develop a full financial business plan. So I've talked about it before. What you have to do is set expectations, and these will be the 3, the 6, and the 12-month expectations, along with the tactical ways that you're going to get there, the ways that you're going to move the chess pieces. So just quickly recap, ideal client is the type of client who aligns with your values and you can provide benefits with your services. So just as a recap, your value proposition is the unique value that you can offer to your ideal clients. And that hopefully sets you apart from most of your competitors. The objective of figuring out your ideal client and your value proposition is to be able to now, the third step, develop your personal brand. And it's interesting, if you think in real estate, you all know somebody who has a ridiculous brand, outlandish, well-known, wears Superman costume, leopard skin pants, like whatever it is. They have a very specific brand, and they built a crazy and wild and memorable brand, and we all remember it. Now, that doesn't necessarily convert to value or your value proposition, but it's interesting. It just shows how when you do have your ideal client, understand what you can offer them, you can market to them directly in all kinds of interesting, odd, or strategically smart ways. In terms of branding, a lot of real estate brokerages all real estate brokerages will have spent some money branding. Some more than others. The Remax brand, the C21 brand, these are big brands that spend a ton of money advertising and marketing and getting you to the position where, because you're aligned with that brand, you're paying for that brand, you're able to leverage that brand. So if your brokerage has a strong brand, leverage that credibility. Okay? If you're a Remax agent, leverage the fact that you're a Remax agent. You have to realize you're paying for that branding in your fees. So the benefit of that is that you don't have to go and spend your own money developing that personal brand out of the gate, but you can leverage the money that you spend on that brand. So always remember that usually a brokerage is a trade-off. A discount brokerage may or may not have a brand. You pay less fees, but then you have to pay more in terms of advertising and branding to get yourself the awareness that you need and the credibility that you need. Then you have on the other side the highest end brand, and you're going to pay more for it, but you don't have to spend as much money advertising and gaining that credibility. Okay, so if you have a strong brand, utilize that brand and get immediate recognition and trust. Okay. And then you also have to make sure your personal brand aligns with your brokerage brand, and especially early days. So at the beginning, if you are at a discount brokerage or a premium brokerage, the premium brokerage is always easier to establish your personal credibility for obvious reasons. You have the brand that has advertised and marketed for years. Now, at the beginning of your career, you may or may not be able to afford that. My suggestion is figure out a way to afford the brand that gets you the most credibility the fastest. Okay? If you're not in that boat, then you're going to have to figure out how to get that brand, personal brand identity quickly. So leverage resources that you have. If you let's just say a brand costs $10,000 a month, ridiculous, but let's just say $10,000 a month for a premium brand. If you're choosing a discount brokerage that charges $1,000 a month, the difference there is $9,000. You're going to have to spend 40-50% of that just getting in front of people with your advertising and your marketing and your brand awareness. So just be conscious that if you choose a discount brokerage or if you're at a discount brokerage, you have to factor in the money that it's going to take to advertise and increase your brand. Either option can be weighed off strategically, but my suggestion would be really think of it strategically as, are you spending too much money for premium? Are you not spending enough for a discount? So somewhere in between there, you're going to be happy. But choose what works for you, but be prepared to leverage whatever you choose. So just techniques in crafting a personal brand. First, foremost, think of your brand identity. So your core values, your expertise, and then, how do you make that into a cohesive brand, both visual and verbal? I'll use some suggestions that are outside of the real estate industry, and one is personal injury lawyers. So personal injury attorneys are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. They're in every city, every municipality. They are everywhere. The differentiator with brand identity is those that get in your face and you remember at your time of need. Okay, so every market has an injury lawyer or big injury firm, diamond and diamond, diamond in this, diamond in that. Regardless, they spend a ton of money on television, on social media, marketing their services. So in that case, they have a brand that they've identified. So they're not the straight-laced, perfect lawyer that you would imagine in in a movie. They are the down and dirty, slightly greasy lawyers who can help you when you have an urgent need and you have been in an injury event. So think about that when you're talking about your own brand. So these people, these companies, but they always show the people, by the way. So the people connect with the people. The company is meaningless. So that's also interesting. But these companies have been positioning themselves as these close to the people. We are for the people. We will help the people. The reality is they're helping themselves, but the branding has been very specific. So you want to start to think about your branding. And your branding doesn't have to be delivered upon day one, but it's important to start to think about your ideal client, your value proposition, and now your branding. I would suggest early on that you think about things like market knowledge, you think of things like uh, persistence, aggressiveness, commitment to one person or two people. Those types of things should shape your brand because you're new to this industry. You may or may not have a lot of clients. If you have clients from other from your past, that's fantastic. But you do have to start establishing yourself as somebody, whether it's your persona on social media, or just coffee meetings or door knocking or whatever the technique you use to market. But mainly make sure you start to develop a persona. Okay, and the nice thing about a persona is that it will end up being your brand, but it puts you in the mindset of acting like you're trying to deal with your ideal clients. So if your persona is that you are the ultimate realtor because you're brand new, you're young, you're mid-age, you're old, whatever it is, but you'll do anything for your clients to service them to the nth degree. When you wake up in the morning, you have to look at that person. You have to see that person. That person is your persona. It might not be exactly who you are, but it should represent the values that you can deliver to your client. So take some time and start to write down attributes that you have that could form your persona. Okay? So again, some ideas: eagerness, commitment, persistence, tenacious, new, excited, aggressive, knowledgeable, understanding of people, understanding of the service industry that you came from. All of these pieces can be added up to become your persona. Okay? So jot this down, piece of paper. We're going to have an exercise at the end. So at the end of the day, I'm asking you to answer some of these questions and form a persona. So consistency. This is wake up in the morning, think about who you are to other people, and then be consistent. So put that veil on, put that Batman suit on, put that Wonder Woman suit on, and then be consistent with who that person is. So whether it's you writing social media messages, posting to TikTok or visuals, creating an ad or a flyer, you have to be consistent with your personal brand and the brokerage brand, of course. So you're leveraging both in your efforts, but the main thing is that personal branding has to exude, it has to look like, it has to tell people who you are. Okay? And so be consistent with that. These personas, your brand, your ideal, it has to make an emotional connection. I continuously talk to you guys about the fact that people decide to buy when they're emotional. People decide to buy when they have an emotion. If it's fear, if it's excitement, if it's apprehension, regardless of the emotion, people buy when they have emotion. So you need your personal brand to connect with your ideal client on an emotional level. I've added logical level here, but I actually think this is far less important. If I were to weigh the importance of connecting with somebody emotionally or logically, so logic being, oh, the house is worth 500,000, that's quite expensive. Emotional is, we need our kids, this is an exciting time, we're desperate to make a purchase. The emotional side wins 90% of the time. 90% of the time. The financial side is usually early on in the conversation. So you do have to appeal to people initially on the logic side as well as the emotional, but the decisions will be emotionally made. And if you haven't sold houses yet, you'll be shocked to find that the vast majority of your clients will decide on their quote unquote gut feeling or on the fact that they like one piece of the house and everything else is unacceptable to them, but that one piece is completely amazing, and they'll make sure to deal with the unacceptable parts. So emotional connections are everything. So let's talk about creating a business plan. So we've just talked about your personal brand, and it's really easy to come up with. So this session's not going to be a long session. The exercise will be interesting. I think you'll like it. But this session is going to be has been focused on your personal branding. And that's something only you can provide. So I beg you to sit down and start to think about some of the traits that you'd like to demonstrate to people or show off to people or pretend you are to people. Those traits that build your persona. So write that stuff down, because we're going to quickly talk about business, a business plan. But right now, you need to start to think about who are you, how do you represent yourself, what do you look like to others. So spend some time and write that down. We're going to move on to creating a business plan. And again, I'm not handing you anything. You have to take the time to do these things. And the most success that we've ever had with our agents, and I will tell you that our successes are measurable. They're measured over almost 4 years now of training agents, and our agents do extremely well. The folks who do the best, the people who get out of the gate with the mid six figures, they know who they are and they know the answer to these questions. So the question is, what is your personal brand? Spend the time, figure it out. We're laying out the groundwork for you. I'm always happy to chat or to talk or to have a Zoom call about your personal brand, because I want you to be that low, mid, six-figure first-year realtor. And I know everybody can be. Just have to focus on what we're talking about here. Okay? So personal branding is super important. I want to commit to you that I'll help you in whatever way. All you have to do is reach out. You probably have my phone number, 780-288-5144. Dial 1 if you're in the US, so 1-780-288-5144, and it's everywhere as well. So don't hesitate to call me if you're listening to this about your personal branding. Okay, so talking about a business plan. So a business plan in my mind is financial goals, number one. Number two, it's your acquisition strategy, so your tactics, how you're going to go out and acquire these financial goals over the next 3, 6, 12 months. And financial goals are your financial expectations. So as of today, you're unlikely able to actually put together your financial goals. You just don't know. You don't know what you don't know, and that's the challenge with real estate. You come into it and you don't know what you don't know. So spending time with us in a community, wherever you might want to find us, you can start to figure out your what could be your expectations. But I don't want to hold you down and I don't want to push you up. I want you to do what you do by having fun, enjoying this business, enjoying the setup phase of this business too. A lot of people will, kind of jump to trying everything marketing wise, but they haven't figured out who they are or the persona, their ideal client, or their value proposition. And it becomes very, very, very difficult to achieve your targets if you don't get the baseline figured out. So this early module of planning, it's important to focus on getting things, your foundation strong. And I know that, anytime I hear that, I think, I really roll my eyes when people start to say like, hey, get your foundation right, this, that. I really feel like with this, it's important. And your foundation is simple. Ideal client, what can you provide them? Value proposition, and how are you going to attract them? Personal brand. Those three things are all that you need to really figure out at this stage. And if you can't spend 5, 10, 15 hours figuring that out so that you can make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars with those, with that foundation, then you're in trouble. Like you're straight up in trouble if you can't spend that time. So if you're full of crap and tell yourself that you don't have to understand who you are, you're full of crap and it'll be a tough go for you. So back to financial goals. Those are your expectations. Strategy is tactics, how you're going to do it. Marketing is the delivery techniques. So we're going to spend about, I would say 5 or 6 hours of content time on marketing. And then in addition to that time, you'll actually spend a bunch of time with exercises. And then in addition to the exercises, you'll be communicating with me just to make sure you're off to a strong financial start. Okay, and it's really important to me. This is what I do for a living. I used to sell a ton of houses, but now since I've sold my Remax brokerage, I've become super passionate about helping clients, helping realtors, new realtors. So 4 years, just over 100 realtors, and I am dedicated to you. And don't be afraid to call me. Don't be afraid to book a Zoom call in my calendar. I really want to help you with this stuff because I know I'm speeding over it, and it might be confusing what we're talking about, but we'll tie it all up. And if you ever have any problems, you can always call me. So your brokerage also, so from a business planning standpoint, when you have your tactics or you're deciding how to market, your brokerage will have resources. They'll either have a mentorship program, they may have some marketing tools, lead generation systems, training. Leverage what your brokerage has. I'm here to help mentor, and I'm obviously here to train and support. But your brokerage may have other, or in addition to what I do, they may have access to different training modules, systems. Take them. I like to think that what we do here is really practical, hands-on, realistic, and really quick fixes to show you how to launch your career. That doesn't mean there aren't better tools out there to help you with what you need. So use your brokerage and go and find resources that they have. As an aside, so total side note here, brokerages recruit realtors. So brokerages are not in the business of training realtors typically. They're not typically in the business of selling real estate. They are in the business of recruiting realtors. And when a brokerage looks at their success is always, always, always based on how many realtors they've gained on a net basis over whatever time. So brokerage, like you'll have expectations on what you will do financially, what you'll do to get there. A brokerage literally will be thinking of how the head count, which is fine. It's their business. That's the way it goes. That's reality. but do know that they may not, the top of mind may not be training their realtors. And you may have to go and discover training resources that your brokerage has. So do it. Just do it. It's not that difficult. So back to the plan. Tactical planning, my favorite thing in the world. I spend countless amounts of time uh, planning for how we're going to do, and then putting it on paper, figuring out the financial expectations. I love this stuff, and you don't have to, but if you do, you do. I don't know how advantageous it is, but here we go. So I always like to have a 3-month plan. So I establish my goals. I figure out how, in your case, the early days, establish a presence. Same thing that I did with the training. I'm in my market. I got well known. I got well known as a great trainer. Phenomenal testimonials. I'm always embarrassed by that stuff, but the reality is that's what I was able to do, is establish a presence. And then finalize that personal brand and start utilizing it with clients. So targeted marketing to the ideal client. So I'm here with you because I targeted, I participated in a group you were in. I added as much value as I probably could for free. And free is okay. Provide your services for free. If you need to, provide your services for free. Now, don't discount commissions, right away. But what I'm saying is your effort is free. Establish yourself as somebody who will do things for others without asking for anything in return. So I would say that if you have the choice between advertising or marketing into a social media group, let's say, or participating in that social media group by being real. Being real in social media groups will win every single time. People will begin to reach out to you. You don't have to be subtle about it, but you can just be honest about it. So if you are being honest, you're deciding that your personal brand is this. For me, it's knowledge. If I'm in a group and there's ever a person that asks questions about being a new realtor, or what to do, or they're scared, they're trying to figure out what to do, they're posting in these groups, I will always answer 100% of the time. I'll be sincere. Somebody asked me this morning what my biggest fears were, and I told them the one thing that I need to work on is handing things to other people. I've always done this by myself and with my assistant Shaylin, who but we've never built a business around this. It's been a personal passion project for both of us, but now it's time to build the business. And my biggest fear is handing things off to people, period. That's why my voice is hoarse. That's why the recording is crackly. I do it all. So it's time for me to hand things off, and that's what I want you guys to start thinking about: being sincere with people, and answering those kind of questions that person asked me. Okay, it's fun. The nice part about it is it's fun. If there's an ethnic community that you participate in, participate. Feel free to boost posts or advertise or whatever it might be. But the best thing is participating. If I was today starting out, building my 3-month plan, figuring out the tactical side, I would start door knocking. I'd door knock the community I live in. I'd add value all day long. I'd provide free this, free that, free whatever the heck you can. Free buyer's guide, free support, free coming over to somebody's house 3 times. So every month, they're monthly. All of those services are free, and you don't have to beg for the business. The business will come to you. It's difficult, but I think it needs to be part of that early plan, the 3-month quick action plan. Okay? So you can all appreciate that you need to make money in that first 3 months, and you better be making $10K a month by the end of the 3rd month. That has to be part of your expectation. My expectation of you would be that as a minimum. Okay. So online stuff, make 10K a month, make 10K a month. That's great. Make 10K a month with no effort, da 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 da. I don't know anybody who does that, so it's just me personally. I just don't know them. They may exist, they may not exist, uh, but what does exist is, and it's proven track record of other realtors that you can get to that 10K a month within the first couple months, and I would expect that. So then 6 month plan can be, a little bit more traction based. So as you're establishing your presence out there, uh, getting your persona out there, showing what value can add people, that's happening. It's happening behind the scenes. It's happening quicker than you think. Um, your 6 month goal should be, now I'm gaining some traction. People are paying attention to me. I don't have to tell people I'm a realtor. People ask if I'm a realtor. Those kinds of traction gains will happen kind of the 6 month mark, and that should be your goal. And then at that point, you should start to evaluate, redefine your value proposition. You'll have more experience, you'll have more knowledge. Maybe the experience is kind of garbage, but maybe you'll have more knowledge that you've gained on what value you can offer. So spend time. Here's where I'm insane. My tracking interactions, I adjust my strategies. I will pivot every week, every month, every 6 months. It drives my wife crazy, who's also a realtor, who just straight line. She knows what she's doing. She goes straight ahead and she does it. She was also part of the academy, and yeah. Anyways, and then Shaylin's very similar. She'll go straight at something and laughs at me when I pivot. But I believe in being able to pivot. So I encourage you guys to track what you're doing. Um, so I'll back right up. So those two people, I use it as examples. Don't track as analytically as I do everything that works and doesn't work. Okay, so it's funny because the reality is the online training, the live training that we're doing today, that's what works for me. That's what tracks well. It's what I love. And those benchmarks, that's line number 2, those benchmarks that I have set for myself, they're achievable because I love it. Okay, so 6 months, figure out how you gain traction, watch yourself gain traction, enjoy it. Like, this is amazing. Here you are starting a new business, and all of a sudden, only 6 months in, I've started 7 businesses over the past 30 years. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing that I've done that I've felt I have traction 6 months in. So you have that opportunity in real estate. So your 12-month plan, now you're thinking, you're coming out of the academy. Usually if you've been in a year, we graduate academy members. And I think at this point, you're going to start to feel like, you have a solid brand and a solid client base, or at least an understanding of your client base. Okay? And so then your action plan should be, look at year-long performance. You should look at lifelong eventually too, and then deepen the relationships with the clients that have proven to you to be ideal clients. Then set next year's goal. And next year's goal, you might be able to base it on the financial success of the past year. So finally, you're getting to the point where you can financially budget. I actually wouldn't suggest it in year 2 because you need 12 months of performance, actual performance, to kind of assess where you're at. But after the 12-month mark, solidify your brand and client base and stick with it unless you have to pivot. Pivoting should be based on stats. Statistics should show you that you're not meeting your expectations because of this, and this. So you have to refine that, or you have to pivot around it. And hey, you can pivot your ideal client. I mean, that's not a problem. If you've spent that time developing the ideal client and spent hundreds of hours, it just isn't working statistically. The advice from others, including me, is that you need to pivot. So nothing's set in stone, but the moment you can figure things out and be comfortable with them, that's the time to do it. So let's just bring this all together. Um, you have to integrate strategy. So you have to integrate three things. And please remember this. Three things. Okay, ideal client, value proposition, and personal brand. That will work together to drive your business to success. I think I'd probably say in this session, ideal client 20 times. Okay, ideal client, value proposition, and personal brand is your complete answer to everything you need to know. Now you just have to do it. So put your plan on paper, put that 3, 6, 12-month plan, put your financial expectations down, and then just adjust and stay committed to those goals. Don't have to stay committed to the tactics. Okay, so you don't have to stay committed to posting X number of times online. If statistically that doesn't prove out as a successful tactic, then pivot. But your goal should still stay the same. Your expectations should stay the same, so you can look back and say, hey, listen, I have to adjust this, so this is how I'm going to do it. These are the tactics I'm going to use to achieve these expectations. So final thoughts, have the long-term vision. Don't think that this is going to be immediate $1 million results. It's not. We have an incredibly rewarding lifestyle. We get to work with people who really need our help. It's awesome. And our career is rewarding. Financially, time-wise, family-wise, it can be really rewarding. You have to keep control of it, but the long-term opportunity in real estate is tremendous for you. So you're taking step 1 right now. You're continuously improving yourself every day. You're watching the modules, you're watching sessions, you're spending time in the live sessions. You are doing the right things to achieve your expectations. Okay, so just continuously improve. And then your expected outcome is that from this session, I want you to have an actionable plan that integrates ideal client, value prop, personal brand, and steps and goals for 3, 6, 12 months. Easy peasy. You don't need fancy. You just need these things on paper. And it can be in a notebook, it can be in your diary, it can be in your journal, it can be in OneNote, it can be in Microsoft Word, it can be in whatever the hell you want. But it really is important to get this stuff down early on or right at the beginning if possible, so you can start to decide if you need to pivot on anything and if what you're doing is successful. If it's successful and you get lightning in a bottle, which most of you will, I always say just throw gas on the fire. So if you've done something and it goes on fire, it starts to work out really well, find some gas, money, time, energy, whatever it is, and throw it on that fire and quadruple your ROI. So that's it for today. Final outcome is to have this. You will have an activity at the end of this module. If you can complete that activity, send it in as usual. And as usual, the instruction will be in the right here. So yeah, just finish it up and yeah, have a tremendous day, fantastic day, and enjoy your day.